Hey, welcome to Draft Academy. My name is Mike. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to get input from a user in C#. Now, one of the cool things about C# is we can actually have our programs interact with the user. So I could run my program and I can actually give it some information and it can use that information to do different things. And when you think about it, most programs that you probably use on a daily basis are going to allow you to input information into them, and then depending on the information that you input, they're going to do different things. So today we're going to look at the most basic form of that, which is just allowing the user to basically type in a value, and then we can use that value to do something. So down here I have a simple program set up. You'll see I'm just saying console.writeLine and I'm writing out hello. And then down here throughout this course so far, I've always included this line of code in our little programs. And basically what this line of code has been doing is it's been allowing us to see the output of our programs, right? So if I include this read line, when I run my program, then I can see what gets output. So I can see hello, right? It sort of stays on the screen. But if I was to get rid of this line, like if I remove this, when I click the start button, you'll see that that window pops up really quick and then disappears. And that's because we're essentially executing this line of code, and then once that line of code's been executed, there's nothing else to execute, right? There's no other instructions for the computer to carry out. So essentially the program just terminates and then that window disappears. We've been using this console.readLine instruction in order to keep that black window up on the screen, in order to keep the console on the screen, because what this line does is it actually waits for the user to enter in a line of text. So this line essentially pauses the execution of our program and waits for the user to enter something. So if the user hasn't entered something, then our program is essentially just paused. So actually, if you guys watch over here, my program is essentially paused, but if I was to enter something and then click enter, the program terminates, right? Because now this line of code down here has finished executing. But what's cool about this line is, like I said, it pauses the program so we can sort of see what's happening. Another thing that this line of code does, though, is it allows us to enter in a line of text. And we can actually use this instruction over here to get input from the user. So I'm going to show you guys how we can do that. In this tutorial, I want to basically design a little application that's going to ask the user for their name. It's going to get their name, and then it's going to say hi to them. So I'll basically be able to type in my name, and then the computer will be like, hey, Mike, what's up? So the way we can do that is with a couple steps. The first thing we want to do is prompt the user for information. So I'm basically just going to write out a line, and I'm just going to say console.write. And you'll notice before we were using console.writeLine. Now, essentially, the difference between write and writeLine is that when we say writeLine, this is going to print out a line of text, and then it's going to go on to a new line. So it's basically going to print out, and then we'll go on to a new line. When I just say console.write, it's not going to go off to a new line. It's just going to kind of print out on the same line. And you guys will see what I mean in a second. So I want to use console.write because I'm basically going to be prompting the user. So I can just say, enter your name, and then I'm going to make a colon. So this is going to be our prompt for the user. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to be able to allow the user to enter in a line of text. So I can do that, like I said, with console.readLine, just like that. And this is going to pause the program and wait for the user to enter in a line of text. But here's the thing. I don't just want to let them enter in the line of text. I want to be able to take the text that they enter and store it inside of a variable, right? Like if they just enter text, it's no use to me if I don't know what they entered. So I want to be able to store the value that they entered somewhere. And we can do that with a variable. So whenever we use this console.readLine, it's basically going to get the line of text that they enter as a string. So it's going to store the line of text that the user enters as a string of characters. So I'm going to create a variable, and we're just going to call this name, and I'm going to set this equal to console.readLine. So I'm saying string name is equal to console.readLine, just like that. Now, the last thing I want to do is I'm actually going to write something out to the screen. So I'm just going to say writeLine, and over here, we're going to print out hello, and then we're going to print out the name that the user entered. So I'm basically just going to print out hello plus name. So basically, the user is going to enter in their name, and then we're going to say hi to the user. And you'll notice I'm keeping this read line down there just so we can see what the output is. So let's go ahead and run this program, and we'll see what happens. So over here it says enter your name, and you'll notice over here it's letting me enter this on the same line as this prompt, and that's why we use that console.write instead of console.write line. So over here I'm just going to type in my name. My name's Mike. And now when I click enter, the value Mike is going to get stored inside of that name variable, and then we're going to be able to print it out on the screen. So you can see down here, we're printing out hello Mike. And that's essentially all we needed to do to get this program to work. So we used console.readLine, which paused the program and let the user enter in a line of text. When they hit enter, the value that they entered gets stored inside of this name variable, and then we printed it out onto the screen. So that's pretty cool. And we can actually do this as many times as we wanted. So if I wanted, I could get another piece of information from the user. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna copy this, and we'll come down here, and this time I'm gonna ask them to enter in their age. So over here, we're gonna create another string, and we're just gonna call it age. And again, I'm just gonna say console.readLine. So now, in addition to having their name, we also have their age. So I can say hello name, and then I can basically tell them how old they are. So I can say you are, and then we'll print out their age. So now we're saying hello, whatever the name is, you are, whatever their age is. So let's go ahead and run this program. Now we're getting two pieces of information from the user. So it says enter your name. So we can enter in like John, and let's say John is 40 years old. So now when I click enter, we're gonna have two values, and we'll be able to print them out. So it says hello John, you are 40. So that's sort of the basics of getting input from the user. And again, remember what I said, when I use console.readLine, it's taking whatever the user enters and it's storing it as a variable. So this is always gonna be a variable. It's always gonna get the information that they enter as a variable. And that's why we had to store both of those pieces of information inside of strings. But there's actually a way that we can get other types of information like numbers from the user. And in the next tutorial, we're gonna build a little calculator game, and I'm gonna show you guys how we can actually get numbers from the user. But for now, that is sort of the basics of doing this. And you probably just wanna practice with this and maybe make a little application of your own. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to Draft Academy to be the first to know when we release new content. Also, we're always looking to improve, so if you have any constructive criticism or questions or anything, leave a comment below. Finally, if you're enjoying Draft Academy and you want to help us grow, head over to draftacademy.com/contribute and invest in our future.